so that we are making sure that we have the record straight. I'm just going to do this for the recording very quickly. On log issue 1003, there was a motion to change the zoning from BL to BMAS. It was moved by Mr. Warren, seconded by Mr. Perlow. That motion passed. For log issue 1004, there was a motion to accept staff's recommendation. It was moved by Mr. Warren, seconded by Ms. Hafford. That motion passed. On log issue 1005, there was a motion to accept staff's recommendation. It was moved by Mr. Perlow, seconded by Mr. Warren. That motion passed. 1007, there was a motion to accept the staff's recommendation for DR2, moved by Mr. Perlow, seconded by Mr. Herbst. That motion passed. On item 1008, there was a motion to change the zoning from OR1 to OR2. That motion, it was moved by Ms. Berzin, seconded by Ms. Pinero. That motion passed. For log issue 1009, there was a motion to change the zoning from DR2 to ROA. It was moved by Mr. Herbst, seconded by Ms. Hafford. That motion passed. On log issue 1012, there was a motion to change the zoning to ELAS with a 15-foot buffer. The remaining lot to remain DR 5.5. It was moved by Mr. Warren, seconded by Mr. Schweitzer. That motion passed. We'll note that on that one, Mr. Perlow recused himself. Also, please note in the record on log issue 1008, Mr. Perlow recused himself. Somebody help me out. What was the last one I just did for the record? That was, I'm on 1014. There was a motion to accept staff's recommendation. It was made by Mr. Perlow, seconded by Mr. Warren, and that motion passed. Now that we've turned on the recorder, this last item that was addressed was item 1017. There was a motion by Ms. Wolfson to change the zoning from BMIM to DR 3.5. That motion was seconded by Mr. Schweitzer. That motion failed. There was then a motion by Ms. Pinero, seconded by Ms. Hafford on the same issue, 1017, to accept the staff's recommendation to retain BMIM. That motion passed.
Thank you for that recap.
Okay, we are now on issue 1028, and that was raised by Mr. Hafford.
And Scott?
Nancy? Are you with me, Nancy? Uh-oh.
She was just there.
Yep, Nancy, you're speaking, but we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can.
If there's any numbers we didn't call, we went with the staff's recommendations.
Oh, that's correct. Thank you for that correction. So at the beginning of the meeting, we went through a list of items that were to be sequestered. There was a motion by Ms. Hafford. It was seconded by, my notes aren't good. I believe that was Mr. Warren. Yes, it was seconded by Mr. Warren. So there was a motion by Ms. Hafford, seconded by Mr. Warren, that all issues that were not listed as sequestered, the board was accepting the staff's recommendations. So for the record, I will do this again. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, you, Chairman Phillips.
All the issues that were not accepted were those that were listed as sequestered. I'm going to run through them very, very quickly. 1003, 1004, 1005, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1012, 1014, 1017, 1028, 1030, 1033, 1034, 1035. For the record.
Thank you.
Let us move to Ms. Hafford, 1028.
10018.
No, 1028.
Rezoning to BLCC.
And next up will be Mr. Warren with 1030, just so that you guys can get your notes up.
Wait, I thought there was so 1020 was not pulled.
1020 was not pulled.
Okay, all right. So what one are we on right now?
1028. And I think, Mr. Warren, you were not sure whether you wanted this one to be pulled, but Ms. Hafford did pull it and place it on the sequestered list.
I was supporting Ms. Hafford on this. If there was something somebody wanted to make a motion to revitalize that building, I was in support of hearing a motion. So that's why I left it on there.
What about a BLCC?
BLCC. So let's bring it up and we'll hear from staff on 1028. And Nancy, I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond.
Let's hear it from, okay, the staff first.
28 is raised same to same for any zoning which is raised same to same. Staff recommended no change. So is your question what's allowed in CCC?
Yes.
CCC is Commercial Community Code. It provides for centers of shopping and auxiliary commercial activity. It on zones on BL, BM, and or BR. So it would allow the uses of BL, BM, or BR, and with CCC.
So do you think that's appropriate or not there?
This has environmental constraints and it's in a floodplain, and there is an existing industrial building. Howard County government is also interested in this, and they have talked about adaptive reuse of the building.
Okay.
So this is Pete. I think I'll jump in. I think there's been discussions about retail and residential working on this site. And Nancy, CCC, if, to my understanding, does allow residential as part of a mixed-use development.
Right. Pete, do you think that's appropriate for this property?
It's you know, with a lot of these, I feel like there needs to be further study, but I think based on what I've been told about the site, I think CCC will give that opportunity for a mixed-use development.
Okay. Then that's what I think we should look at.
Are we looking at BMCCC or BRCCC? Does it matter?
BL.
Okay, BL.
So are you making a motion, Nancy?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
What's your motion, Nancy?
I'd like to move that property to a BLCCC.
From, and I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. From ML to BLCCC?
Yes.
I'll second.
And that's Katie?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, this is Pete again. Could I just, there's a number of zonings. Could we say from the existing zoning
Yeah, it's a
That's
lot of,
on the
Oh,
property.
from the
to
existing
the
zoning.
LCC.
Okay,
Yeah, it's got a variety. It's got a smorgasbord of zoning on it.
that's correct.
Can planning support us with that? Pete, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but can you?
Well, like I said, I mean, it's tough to make a call when you don't have any further analysis, but I think what I've been heard and what Nancy suggested, that's probably the proper zoning to locate there.
okay.
I don't know if Jeff or Josephine or anybody else wants to chime in as well, so.
If you're looking for a mixed use zone that would complement some of the uses in Ellicott City, BLCCC would be appropriate. The only concern would be some of the environmental constraints that would need to be worked out in the floodplain issue. But if, in terms of uses, the BLCCC would provide that variety of uses.
And then maybe we can put in some buffers.
As Jeff said, there's there's a lot of constraints, and it's going to be heavily regulated through the floodplain management program as to what can go where, waterproof, floodproofing the site, all those kinds of things with substantial rehabilitations, so, or redevelopment.
Okay.
Okay. Well, once again, we'll move on if we can. If there's something pressing, we'll entertain it. But we've got a motion from Ms. Hafford, second by Ms. Pinero, to go from the existing zoning to BLCCC. Heard the motion. Any further?
Question, does that mean, excuse me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes?
Does that mean all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zones get rezoned to BLCCC or just the ML portion?
I believe the motion was to zone the existing parcel to BLCCC. Is that correct, Nancy?
I mean, we can discuss keeping some of the property at the DR1 and the DR3 as a buffer, if Mr. Hartman would feel more comfortable with that.
I'm not sure where they are located. Okay, they're up at the north end there.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that,
Can you zoom in on that a little bit more, please, for me? Can't see clearly.
It's an old industrial plant, correct?
Yeah, this was a flour mill.
That's right.
So it's appropriate zoning for this area.
yeah, I'm fine with rezoning the ML portion. I'm not sure about the DR portions. I don't know if you want to build anything more dense in those locations than what's already there.
So to the, is that north? No.
Yeah, to the northwest of,
Pete, could you help us with?
So like keep the DR1 where it is.
I would be fine with keeping the DR portion,
Yeah.
and then there's a little bit of RO. I'm not sure where that exactly is, but keep those, and then only downzone the ML, the 8.41 acres of ML, and the BL and BM portions. I'm not sure where those are.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I think for the project that they're talking about is the ML portion of the property. I wasn't sure about the different zonings as well. Those portions that are multiple zones, that's not developable anyways. Look at the sites, they're
Yeah,
heavily environmentally constrained, so it doesn't matter what the zoning is, nothing's gonna be able to go on them.
They can't
Okay.
build on the northern part because of the floodplain.
right. Okay.
That's,
So Kathy, if you redo your thing just for that, I think.
no, that was Nancy. So Nancy, if I'm hearing correctly, if you could state this motion to,
BLCC, keep the DR where it is that what you're saying?
yes.
Okay.
So we would retain the existing zoning for all parcels except for ML, which would rezone to BLCCC.
Okay. I change my recommendation to making it a BLCC, except for the DR1 and the DR3.
Wasn't there a third?
There's
ML?
0.13 acres of RO, but I don't think that makes a difference. I don't know
No.
what it is. Oh, down there. Okay.
Okay,
You might as well exempt that as well because it's not connected to the ML zone.
we gotta get a clear motion.
So BLCCC, except for the DR1 and the DR3, 5, and what else did you say, Hartman?
RO.
The RO. Got it. I moved to change the zoning to BLCCC, except for the DR1, the DR3.5, and the RO.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. You've heard the motion to change the zoning except for the property now zoned as DR1, DR3.5, and RO. There's a second motion by Ms. Hafford, second by Mr. Hartman. We'll do I'm actually going to call for a unanimous vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same right. Not hearing any opposed, that vote is unanimous.
Mr. Chair, I need to recuse on that vote.
And that was
Uh,
Mr. Heckman, I'm sorry. Yeah, got it. Okay. Got to reach over and grab my notes again, guys. It's got me working here. 1030, Mr. Warren.
Sorry, I'm trying to get to my notes and do this at this. Yeah, as I understood this, in talking with council or with the planning,
With Ms. Josephine?
with Joseph, yeah, they supported this, and I thought I had. Oh, I remember what this is. I'm sorry. No, this is a different subject. This is a parking lot issue, and I was going to reach out to try to find out some more on this, and haven't got a response from anybody. Basically, what the issue is, they currently are using 0.26 for parking. They want to increase that to 0.97 for parking. Staff gave them the 0.26, which they currently have, and didn't give them the 0.97, which is what they requested. I don't have a strong opinion on this. I hate to do this at the 11th hour, but I'll go with staff. I'll make a motion to go with staff. I wasn't feedback.
So this is on 1030. You're moving to accept the staff's motion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any unreadiness? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. One, 033, Mr. Perlow.
Sorry. Would somebody just tell me the difference again between DR2 and DR1? I was under the impression that DR1 is less zoning.
That's correct. DR2 is 2 units per acre and 1 is 1 unit per acre. DR is density residential.
And why would we, if the owner of the land wants to down zone it, why would staff want to keep a DR2.
The owner hasn't asked to downside. The council has.
That's right. This is a council issue. This is the Rolling Road Golf Course. Staff did not support the request because it removes the opportunity for density inside the hurdle.
Okay, I'm sorry, I guess I didn't notice that the council had requested it. I thought it was the owner, so I will support the staff recommendation.
Well, I pulled this also, so this.
Mr. Warren?
And I don't want to grandstand here, but I think it's a bigger issue countywide. We have 7 country clubs, or in this case, a golf club, that are on the verge of failing. And a downzoning of a property that has current financing on it is going to accelerate that default. So a bank has made a loan on this property. I worked at the institution when it was made, so I know more about this one than I may about the others, but I am familiar with other ones also. A loan is made based on an appraisal of a property, and if you downzone that property, it would cause default under the loan. It would cause a reappraisal, which would cause more issues. So we're trying to keep.
What a shame.
You're gonna in fact make it more detrimental. Secondarily, this particular golf club or community is on the smallest postage stamp that you can possibly have a regulation golf course. It's the smallest in the country. So they, unlike some of the other issues that we'll talk about later on tonight, do not have the ability to sell off chunks of this club to, cover shortfalls and reinvest in the club. I'm going to make a motion to upzone the club, and not for the fact that I want them to move the club or sell it, but I'm making the motion that will give them additional capacity to borrow money. It will increase the asset value, and by doing that, increase the ability for the club to retain or obtain additional loans and reinvest in the club and make a run at it. So with a little bit of patience from you guys, I'm going to ask that we have staff help me with this, but I would like to put a buffer along the western outreach of the property that runs along a park and the high school, the Catonsville High School. And I want basically a 10-acre piece of that property buffered and kept at the same zoning. So I don't know what the width of that is. We'd have to, whatever that width is, basically 10 acres along that part. And then the rest of the facility, I want upzoned the BLCCC. The reason I think that's the proper zoning for this is if you went to Wilkins at the far eastern part of this property, it's on a circle that leads into Baltimore, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, which is landlocked. So I think by providing this vehicle, it will allow them to expand into this area over time. It would also provide some additional retail for the students and amenities, plus additional higher end, maybe some apartments above the retail on that space. Now, the club has told me that they don't plan on selling it. The plan was to sell the whole thing and move to a different facility. If they can't do that, then they're not going to sell. But this does give them the ability to leverage the property to try to make a run at it. If it doesn't work, I think that's the best zoning to support the university, which is frankly a gem in our community. It's one of the top research universities in the country. It's a hidden gem there. It also has a lot of access to major roads. Wilkins is a major road. It's at a lit corner. If you continue down Wilkins, there's a lit corner at Wilkins and Rolling, which leads on to 690 or onto 95 through the 195 access there where the park and ride is. I think if we're going to put that kind of zoning in place in an area there, I think that makes the most amount of sense. So with staff's help on that, I would like to make a BLCCC request for the entire property except for a 10-acre parcel that would go from Rolling Road on the west side all the way up to the top boundary.
So let me ask this because that's interesting. If the property were to change hands, you would actually be, I think, causing this property to be a non-conforming use as it is today.
It cannot be sold as a club. The members of the club, it's a nonprofit. If they were to sell it, the club members couldn't. They get no benefit by selling it. Economically, they get like $300, which is their original amount they spent for the shares. The rest has to go to charity. So the members wouldn't have an interest if it's not going to work as a golf club, as a members golf club. It's not going to work. So it goes away anyway. So that's not an issue for me in this instance.
So Mr. Warren has asked for some staff assistance on what it is he has requested. Pete or Jeff?
Well, I'm going to jump in. I think it's going to be difficult for us to assess. What I think the motion would be to create a buffer equal to 10 feet or 10 acres, but stretching from Rolling Road to the and the remaining of the property to be zoned. We'll calculate that when we go to the final vote. Show the map of what that would look like. But I can't calculate it right now because we'd have to do a lot of GIS work to figure that out, but we get it. We understand that the motion is to create a buffer on the west side from Rolling Road to the end of the property and get somewhere around 10 acres. Does that help?
Yeah, and and if it works, it's 12 acres. I'm okay with that too. I just use 10 acres as a.
So, Mr. Warren, would it be easier for you to say, along, what's the road? Valley? What is it?
Yeah, I think it's Valley Road.
Valley Road, to say, put a 50-foot buffer there? And like we did with the last issue?
That's fine. I'll support that. That's fine.
Okay.
Pete, I don't think we have to even be that specific necessarily. We can just make a. You guys can figure all that out later.
I would prefer you tell me the size of the buffer. But okay.
Are we talking about a buffer on Valley and then on Hilltop and on?
Now, there wouldn't be a buffer on Hilltop.
There wouldn't be a buffer on Hilltop, but what about the other one? I can't read. Would there be a buffer there or no?
No, that's what leads in. That's what in my mind, makes this make sense. This allows that flow from the university. It gives the university.
Oh, there you go.
My hope long term was that the university would have the ability to take over the mental hospital there. And frankly, there's no way for them to get there if they can't go through this property. So this gives them the ability to go through this property.
There you go. Jen did the quick analysis for you. There's 6 acres right there.
Okay. All right, I think we're ready for a motion. Does the staff have any additional comments that they would like to make about this parcel and why you are recommending the zoning remain the same?
Nothing to add on, like I mentioned before, staff didn't support because it takes away the opportunity of density inside Erdel, so we didn't support down zoning.
Right. And does staff have any comment with regard to BLCCC?
I talked to Mr. Warren yesterday and gave him what are the uses allowed with CCC and uses allowed in BL and BM. So I don't have anything else to add on.
After we had that conversation, I didn't support BM. I thought BL was more appropriate, but if you tell me I'm wrong on that, then I would keep slicing.
The only thing, this is Jeff, the only thing that you should be aware that a golf course in a BL is permitted under a special exception.
But if they're already there, they don't have to do anything, right? They already are grandfathered in.
If they wanted to upgrade or, move the clubhouse or something like that, that might require them to go through a special exception.
Upgrade, like if they upgraded pathways and stuff like that, they would have to do that, or
I'm talking expanding the building footprint substantially, or
there's not to do that on this.
Todd, I mean, do you feel comfortable making a call like that on somebody's property until you know that's what they want?
I understand the issues at hand, and I think what I'm doing here is kind of doing what I wish we would do on the other golf courses in the community, is to really make a plan for, and I do not have the support of the council on this. He's trying to downzone it. So, and I'm very clear about that. So I think I'm doing what's right for the community long term, and it allows the golf course the capacity to then go out and obtain, if they choose to, obtain additional financing to continue on as a golf.
So you're saying the councilman he doesn't agree with that, is that correct?
I have not gone through BL CCC, but he's the one that put forward the downzoning. So
okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. So let's get a clear motion on the recommendation for 1033. Warren, want to make that motion? Yes.
all right. So I'm recommending BLCCC on the entire property other than the buffer, which zoning has printed on the map there, which was, I believe, 6 acres, you said?
Yeah, Jen, could you just say what the distance is again? So that's about what was the distance from the road? 100, say 150 feet. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that right, Jen? I think that's the length, width.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, about 150-foot buffer.
So the motion is to change the zoning to ELCCC with a 150-foot buffer
Along Valley Road.
along Valley Road.
From Rolling to Hill.
All right.
Second that.
Mr. I'm gonna make sure, Mr. Warren, that is your motion.
That is my motion, yes.
Okay. And seconded by Mr. Herbst. Okay. Let's do a roll call vote on this one. Mr. Schweitzer. Well, is there any other, hold on. Is there any other unreadness?
I'm just, Mr. Chairman, I'm a little hesitant to go down this road. It sounds like an interesting concept that should definitely be evaluated in more detail. But the owner of the property hasn't suggested that, as far as I know, unless there's a comment I missed. So I'm a little concerned about forcing a particular solution to the to the issue. You know, it would be great to keep the golf club in, you know, solvent and there. But I don't know, maybe this isn't the right solution that they want.
Then Paul, vote nay.
Okay, so no, this is unreadiness, so Paul gets
I'm
to,
just stating my opinion that's more than a bit of a nay to explain why that is.
okay, no,
Yeah.
that's,
Mr.
hold on, gentlemen and ladies.
I can't argue.
I will call the next person who has an unreadiness. Please do not respond. All right. Did Ms. Wilson, did you have an unreadiness?
I'm wondering, Todd, why you excluded the other existing residences on the other three sides from your buffer.
The purpose of doing this is to allow the expansion of university. I would have been okay with a buffer on Hilltop, but I didn't know how I would get through to the state hospital. So I was trying to, and also connect to the circle there. Wilkins is a major road, frankly, 4 lanes at some point north of that, and there's a lit corner there at the top. So I'm okay with that, not having a buffer. I would have liked to have some buffer on the Hilltop side. I just can't get there from there. So I can't do what I'm trying to accomplish by putting that buffer there.
Okay. Any other unreadiness?
Mr.
Mr. Heckman.
I concur with Mr. Hartman on this. I'm a little hesitant about setting the precedent, especially on all these golf courses, where we're kind of doing master planning on the fly and zoning on the fly without discussing with the landowner, or even asking the staff to kind of on the fly, on the spot as well. I think something a little more thoughtful should be presented before we do any sort of upzoning or downzoning.
Okay. Any other unreadiness?
I agree with Mr. Heckman.
Okay. All right. If there are no other unreadiness, we'll call for the vote. And we will do a roll call vote. The motion, once again, by Mr. Warren, seconded by Mr. Herbst, is to change the zoning to BLCCC with a 150-foot buffer along Valley Road. Mr. Schweitzer.
I vote nay.
Ms. Pinero.
I vote nay.
Mr. Hartman.
Nay.
Mr. Halupka. Mr. Halupka. Ms. Hafford.
Nay.
Ms. Berzins.
Nay.
Ms. Wolfson.
Nay.
Mr. McGinnis.
Nay.
Mr. Heckman.
Nay.
Mr. Heinel. Mr. Herbst.
Aye.
Mr. Perlow. Mr. Perlow. Mr. Warren.
Aye.
I'm going to go back to those who did not vote that I believe is still on the line. Mr. Halupka. Mr. Heinel. Mr. Perlow. I will record them as abstentions. And the motion dies. Is there a alternate motion for 1033?
I make a motion to accept the staff recommendation for 1-033.
I accept that motion.
You second that motion?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Wilson. and Ms. Hafford. 1033 to accept staff's recommendation. The unreadiness, not hearing any, we'll go to a roll call vote. All in favor? No, Mr. Schweitzer. Mr. Schweitzer? Mr. Schweitzer?
I vote yes.
Ms. Pinero?
Yes.
Mr. Hartman?
Yes.
Mr. Halupka? Ms. Hafford? Ms. Berzins? Ms. Wolfson?
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Mr. Ekman?
Yes.
Mr. Heinl? Mr. Herbst?
Yes.
Mr. Perlow?
Yes.
Warren?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. I did not hear Mr. Halupka or Ms. Berzins.
Berzins is yes.
Okay, and Mr. Halupka? I will list him as an abstention. Mr. Heinl, I will list him as an abstention. Okay, not hearing them. All right, we are almost there for District 1, 1034. Mr. Warren.
Yeah, 1034 is a residential property that is adjacent to hotels and surrounded on 3 sides by BM property. The individual went to the county staffer was in agreement, but didn't put it in properly, so it went through as same to same. I've worked with staff to try to come up with a zoning that would be appropriate for this, and to not have some odd zoning. It's adjacent to BM zoning commercial, so I'm gonna make the motion that we continue or expand the BM with this property. So I'm going to have it. My motion is to change the zoning to BM.
Okay, before you make your motion, staff comments, 1034.
That's right. It was raised from same to same, which was not the intention. So the applicant wants a commercial zoning, and talked to Mr. Warren yesterday. So he was looking at a commercial zoning. So MLR could be an option, which is a transition zone, which is also to the down south. And as you could see on the east is BM, and Mr. Warren suggested BM.
Any concerns? Does that raise any concerns for staff?
The applicant is looking for commercial zoning. So right now, looking at the adjacent zoning, BM would be appropriate zoning there.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Warren?
Yeah, I was open to other things. I picked BM because it was attached to the other property. So just to make it consistent. So.
Okay. All right, your motion?
My motion is to rezone the property to BM.
And that's Mr. Warren. Is there a second?
Second.
And that was Ms. Pinero?
Katie.
Katie? Okay.
Yes.
And I'll try this. All in favor, say aye.
I have some unreadiness here.
Unreadiness? No, thank you for catching me.
Okay.
Unreadiness.
It looks to me to be a DR 3.5 neighborhood. Why should any sort of commercial be? I understand that the rear of the lot adjoins BM, but the frontage there on that street is all DR 3.5. Why would we put commercial there?
There's 3 or 4 homes.
Can somebody answer, staff?
This site is bordered with the hotels to the east, which is zoned BM. There is commercial entirely to the east of it, and then there are residences, and there is also, it has a mixed zoning here. There is also MLR zoning down south. It's in the mix of residential, commercial, and industrial zoning.
Well, but it looks to me like the rest of Edwards Avenue here is 3.5 on both sides of the street. So now you're going to put something on this on issue 1.034. I don't. It doesn't look like it fits to me.
Jen, could you zoom out?
Yep.
I'm familiar with this property in Edwards Road that runs between Belmont Avenue and Dogwood Roads. And as you can see, it's an older community with small lots. The commercial zone will have to access from that small 2-lane road, Edwards Avenue. I mean, certainly the hotel behind it's not going to give them a right of way. So it's going to be pretty intrusive on those existing residents.
So okay.
If I could just jump in, the community as a whole was going to come for rezoning. There's only a couple of houses that are not commercial in this. This whole area has become commercial. So she just got it. She was going to get an attorney, and she just went to the county to do it. And the county put it in. I think if you look around it, BM, and this is in the middle of a commercial corridor. I think commercial makes sense.
Okay. Any other unreadiness?
The council put it in?
The council put the issue, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Council put the issue in. If I recall, this was same to same, right?
That's right.
So the council put the issue in as same to same.
Yes, it was put same to same, but the intention was to change into commercial, and we were told that they accidentally put it same to same.
So they wanted BM, is that right?
They just pick a zone, and I'm okay with not. I chose, again, I'll say this again. I chose BM because it was consistent with the adjacent property. I could be swayed to another zoning. I was just trying to be consistent with the adjacent property and the other property area, which are also.
Josephine, do you know what the council wanted to put it in as?
No, they didn't tell what particular zoning they intend to put in there. I just know that it was accidentally put same to same.
Thank you.
Josephine, is everything within the red 3.5, 3.5?
Yes, the one where Jen is pointing, that whole area is DR 3.5.
So nothing along Edwards other than ours would be BM.
That's right. To the east would be BM.
Okay, but not north and south.
There is BM to the north too.
Well, there's a DR35.
Can you zoom in a little bit? And then click on the zoning, please, Jen.
It's all 3.5. It's BM. It's TR16.
So everything in the green that you're flashing is DR 3.5?
That's right. The one she's highlighting now is DR 3.5.
That answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah, that's okay. I think I'm seeing that too. All right. Any other unreadiness? All right, Mr. Warren, your motion was to change the zoning on that parcel to BM. It's moved by Mr. Warren, seconded by Ms. Pinero. You've heard the unreadiness. I will do a roll call on this one. Mr. Schweitzer,
I vote yay.
Ms. Pinero,
Yay.
Hartman,
Nay.
Mr. Halupka,
No.
Ms. Hafford, Nancy, can't hear you.
Sorry, I abstain on this one.
Okay. Ms. Berzins,
No.
Ms. Wolfson,
No.
Mr. McGinnis,
No.
Mr. Heckman,
No.
Mr. Heinel, Mr. Herbst, Mr. Herbst, Mr. Perlow,
No.
Mr. Warren. All right, the motion fails. I will list Mr. Herbst. I didn't hear Mr. Herbst. Mr. Herbst, if you were voting, I didn't hear you. I'm going to list you as an abstention. Okay. The motion fails. All right, is there an alternate motion?
I move to accept staff recommendations for this, for 1-034.
And that's Ms. Wolfson.
Second.
And that was, who's second? I couldn't tell. Is that Mr. Heckman?
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
And all right, and I will say, I'll try this way. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed have the same right? Nay? Okay. Motion carries unanimously. 1034. Thank you. And the last one in District 1 would be 1035. Ms. Kathy Wolfson.
Yes, this property too, like 1-017, they went for a zoning upzone in from RC, I believe it was 6, in 2008, which did not pass, but they went back in 2012, making a grab for capitalizing on the red line again. You know, changing zoning for plans that never materialized. So they got the OT and the DR 3.5 last fall. They came to the combined communities of Greater Patapsco Community Association, Chadwick, Parkview Trail, Fairbrook, Parkview Crossing, and Stonegate, with a PUD proposal for 182 townhouses. Councilman Quirk kind of put it in the community's hands, how we felt about it, which we all firmly rejected that kind of density, in addition to the 368 townhouses currently under construction west of that BMIM. And for all the same reasons that, you know, we support 3.5 on 1-017, the communities are requesting 3.5 for this 1-035.
All right. Staff?
I have nothing new to add. It is a council issue which is raised same to same, and staff didn't change any zoning recommendation for the issues raised same to same.
Okay. A motion. Is there a
I was
motion?
just gonna ask, Kathy, what did you say this was comparable to? 1017?
Yes.
Okay,
And the property owner has not been able to do anything with the commercial OT. So, or they would not have proposed the PUD for 182 units.
So the PUD is going through the process today, Kathy?
No, the PUD has died at this point, or it's not being pursued. It was never, Councilman Corp never introduced the bill for this PUD
He
because
wanted,
of community opposition.
he wanted to wait until after zoning for that. And he didn't put it through because of what happened with the current virus situation. I do want to question the fact, I'm understanding that Stoneley and Park Trails now support this development. They've got
I'm sorry, Todd, who supports it?
that Stoneley and Parkview Trails support it now. That's
Is
my.
this since they submitted their letter to the planning board
I just
consideration?
I've heard from people that there is a support of the PUD, so to do that development.
I think the property owner would like to keep the property the same that it is at this time. The DR 3.5 and the OT. So why don't we just leave it with what it is?
Well, if the property owner was supporting the OT, why would they be pursuing a PUD for all residential on the entire lot?
Well,
So let's do this, because we're gonna bring this and we're gonna do it in order. We've heard from staff, we've heard from the person that's sequestered. A motion is appropriate. Kathy, would you like to make your motion?
I make a motion that issue 1-035 in its entirety be zoned DR 3.5.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Mr. Schweitzer? Okay, unreadiness. I will consider your comments, Nancy and Todd, as unreadiness and a desire to maintain the zoning as it is. Is there any other unreadiness from any other board?
I think we voted on 17 to keep it where it is. I think we vote on this the same way. We don't know whether Security Boulevard is going to be expanded. If they come in with a PUD, then it's going to go through a whole process where the neighborhood will be consulted and they'll be able to make the decision whether they want to support it or not at that time. I don't see a reason to change the zoning now.
Okay.
a motion that we accept the staff's recommendation.
Hold on, Kathy. Wait, hold on. Nancy. We have a motion on the floor. So we've got to address that motion first. So we have a motion to change the zoning from DR 3.5 to DR 3.5 by Kathy Wilson, second by Mr. Schweitzer. Hearing no further unreadiness, we'll go to the vote. Mr. Schweitzer, on that motion, DR 3.5.
I vote yes.
Ms. Pinero,
no,
Mr. Hartman,
No, excuse me, no.
Mr. Halupka, Ms. Hafford,
No,
Berzins,
no,
Ms. Wolfson,
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis,
Yes.
Mr. Heckman,
Nay.
Harmon,
No.
Herbst,
Nay.
Mr. Perlow,
Oppose myself.
okay, and Ms. Warren.
Nay.
Okay, motion fails. Alternate motion,
I recommend that we accept the staff's recommendation.
second,
and that's for 1035. Accept. Ms. Hafford and Ms. Pinero.
yes.
Heard the motion, any unreadiness? Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same right.
No.
All right, roll call. Mr. Schweitzer. Mr. Schweitzer. 1035. This is a roll call.
No.
No, no. Okay. Ms. Panero,
Yes.
Mr. Hartman,
Aye.
Mr. Halupka, Ms. Hafford,
Yes.
Berzins,
Yes.
Wolfson,
No.
Mr. McGinnis,
No.
Mr. Heckman, Mr. Heinel,
Yes.
Herbst, Mr. Herbst, Mr. Perlow,
I recluse myself.
Mr. Warren.
Yes.
One more time, Mr. Herbst. Okay, a motion passes 1035 to accept the staff's recommendations. That is District 1 at 7:50, a start of 5:30. This is what we're going to do.
It's going to be a long night.
It's going to be what it's going to be. This is what we're going to do for everybody. We're going to take a 5-minute bio break. It is 7:50. We will reconvene at 7:55. I'm going to ask, I am going to ask Jeff to put all phones on mute. And if you desire, you may turn off your cameras. But we will begin at 7:55.
Back in?
We're back in.
Okay, sorry.
Back. Okay, we're going to move on to District 2. And we're going to begin District 2 as we did with District 1 with a motion to accept all of the items, the staff's recommendations for all of the items that have not been sequestered. I will review the items that board members have sequestered. And if we could put all the phones on mute, except for mine, thank you. Sequestered items for District 2, 2003, 2005, 2006, 2009, 2011, 2012, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2018, 2019, 2021, 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028. And those are the items sequestered for District 2. Ms. Hafford, you move to accept.
I move to accept the recommendations of the Baltimore County Planning Board staff for the log of issues in District 2, except for the sequestered issues listed by Chairman Phillips.
The motion is a second.
Second.
And that was Mr. Hackman. Motion by Nancy Hafford, second by Mr. Hackman. Any unreadiness? Any unreadiness? Not hearing any? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed have the
Aye.
right? Not hearing any. We will move forward with the motion passes, and we will move forward with the sequestered items. First sequestered item in District 2 is 2003. It was sequestered by Mr. Perlow with also comments from Mr. Warren, Mr. Herbst, Ms. Hafford, and Ms. Wolfson. Mr. Perlow.
To accept the staff recommendation.
Second.
Okay. Happened so fast. Okay, Mr. Perlow. I guess we do not need to hear from staff. That was seconded by Ms. Wolfson. Is there any unreadiness? Not hearing any unreadiness. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed have the same right. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I need to recuse.
And that was Mr. Heckman.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Heckman recuses on 2003. All right, let's move to 2005. Mr. Warren. Bring that one up. 2005.
I had my feet on, I apologize. I time with staff on this the other day. And I guess the big issue they have is that the ML zoning would more spot zoning, but I believe the gentleman already has the building on the property and is just trying to get in compliance. So that's why I had pulled it. Staff give more insight on that. I'm not wed to. I could go back to staff, but I just thought it should be heard.
Okay, and Mr. Perlow, you also asked for this one to be sequestered.
Yeah, I had wanted to hear staff recommendations, and I wasn't on the night of the second district, so I just wanted to hear the reasons for not allowing it.
Staff, do you want to comment?
Sure. Good evening, Chairman Phillips, members of the board. Bill Skabinski, planner for Second District. For this issue, it's really what some would call a spot zone for that area. That area is predominantly low density residential, being DR2. So it's drastically out of character for that area, as well as being within the Owings Mills growth area, which determined is an area that requires a little bit more study. And kind of also speaking with someone from code enforcement, there has been a lot of constituent complaints and some pending code enforcement issues as well.
Is this an allowable non-conforming use at the moment?
As far as I know, it's being illegally operated.
Say that again.
As far as I'm aware, it's being illegally operated, and that's why there's been some pending code enforcement actions.
Okay. All right.
Can we see, is there a Google Earth picture of the property? Or maybe blow it up so we can see it some more?
I don't have that ability to do that.
That's fine, what you just did.
We got it.
We can see it now.
I think what the gentleman had done is like put offices in there too. Is that correct?
From what I've seen from photographs from the representative, yeah, it's an office as well as some equipment and vehicle contractor storage area. I will say that the primary structure there has been improved. But apparently there are some equipment as well as vehicle storage occurring on site.
Can you sort of tell us where on McDonough Road this is? That the number doesn't help me.
This is actually far off of the road, just adjacent to the rail line, as you'll see there. It's a very narrow semi-gravel drive just to get down to the property.
Okay.
And that is a stream that runs right behind that.
Correct.
Does he have an approved stormwater management plan for that?
That I do not know.
Were there any other comments by any of the other departments on this one?
Note I have here, economic development did support it, meets their objectives. But EPS, Environmental Protection Sustainability, does object to request.
You said F said it does not meet theirs, right?
They object, correct?
Okay, just wanted to make sure I understood it. Okay, either Mr. Perlow or Mr. Warren, is there a motion on this parcel?
Can I ask one more question?
We can do that in unreadiness.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion to accept staff recommendation.
I would second that.
Okay. And that was Mr. Perlow and Mr. Warren. Is there any unreadiness at this point? No unreadiness. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed have the same right. Not hearing any. Motion carries. That's 2005. Our next item is 2006. Mr. Perlow and Mr. Herbst, Mr. Warren. We'll start with Mr. Perlow.
To hear staff recommendations and understand again, you know, what the country club had wanted. Again, it's something, as Mr. Warren said, all these clubs are looking for ways to stay around.
Sure. Yeah, as I'm sure most of you know, there's two clubs there, Pikesville Suburban Club and Woodhome. Both clubs have CZMP issues in 2020. For this particular issue, 2-006, The request was from DR2 to BLCCC and RAE1. Believe the plan was for some type of apartments or condominiums along the corner of Park Heights and Slade. However, that area is classified in the master plan as being T3 suburban. And kind of the general feel, both from myself and others in the community, was that it's piecemealing the property out. And general consensus was that the property really needed more of a long-term community-driven master plan for the property. So we are recommending to retain the existing DR2.
So I can speak to that if I may. I've asked a question this issue as well. Obviously, the country clubs throughout the county are having some issues, even before, and as they were having issues now, it's obviously it's worse. But I think we have to keep in mind that if we don't figure out a solution to keep these clubs viable, then they're going to start to go under, and we're going to have much bigger problems on our hands. If everybody that was on the board 4 years ago recalls the Chestnut Ridge issue and how much consternation that caused. I mean, it was before us multiple times. So that's what we're looking at down the road if we can't come up with something to help these folks out in the short term. Hopefully it'll be an 10 to 20-year fix if we can give them a little bit of help now rather than have a much bigger problem down the road. So that's just my general comments on all of the clubs. This one in particular, Suburban Club, my understanding is that the club and the community have actually been working towards a potential resolution where there would be a restrictive covenant on a portion of the property, while the other portion. So they put in a request for BLCCC and RAE1. From what I'm hearing, they're backing off of that, and now they would like to see DR16 on that property. Again, if there's a covenant and if the community is on board, it makes total sense. It's a win-win. So I think we can make a general recommendation that there be DR16 with a covenant, and then obviously it'll be up to the community and club to work out the details. That's where I stand on it.
Okay, and Mr. Warren.
Yeah, I don't want to beat a horse. You know, I've talked about the issues that clubs are facing. I don't want to be the one that decides who wins and loses, or the winners and losers in this. You know, it's a tough issue. I'd love to see a plan that would make this downtown Pikesville. But there's, you know, this has been a club for over 100 years, and it's not my place to try to choose what and how long they want to stay there. The club has stepped up and paid off the loan. They've made a commitment to this. I was a member of this club for a number of years. I haven't been a member for 10 years, so I don't feel like I have a conflict at this point. I'm no longer a member. So, and I think what Jonathan brought up, I think is a decent way to look at this. It gets some community input. Community can come back and negotiate the covenants around it. So I would support what John had. If he were to make that as a motion, I could support that.
And I'll just say, I mean, this is my community. I live in the area pretty much my whole life. I've talked to a lot of folks, both members and people that live across the street from there, and there is a desire for everybody. So I don't know where it would be great if we could work 20-year. Just don't realistic because is to keep them viable, but this one would help. avoid the huge plan. That's my thought. I don't think we have to have a specific covenant in mind. We can just say we recommend DR 16 with a mutually acceptable covenant.
It's Howard. I also live adjacent to the suburban club, and I get more of a feel until they really give the community some plans. I mean, I look at the plan here today and I see that the clubhouse and pool and other parts of the buildings are part of this property. So I have a problem giving them DR 16 on the entire parcel. They can then cluster it down along Slade Avenue, but you know, they're grabbing some extra acreage, I guess, with the clubhouse and all that. Will it ever be torn down? Will it stay there? Is it part of this project? I don't think so. You know, there is an argument that some people say that the people that live in the apartments will get a membership in the club and the clubhouse, but the golf course membership will also be using the clubhouse. I just don't think they've really provided, you know, a real plan that the community can really accept at this point. Can they bring it in as a PUD if that's what they decide, you know, that they've missed the zoning? I understand that, and I'm sure there's, you know, some people that are surprised that I'm against it, but, you know, the last properties built on Slade Avenue were not a high-rise apartment. They were townhouses because the community looked at it and whatever focus groups, that was not what was going to be built. And those houses actually didn't do that well, you know, over the long term, price wise and everything else. So it sounds nice, but I don't know that there's really been enough research into this project to make that decision in my mind.
And we have to remember the DR 16, you know, it may be appropriate, but we're going to be going from about 37 units to 308 units on those 18 acres.
So you're not, I don't think you, maybe I'm not explaining it right. What I'm saying is that we get the ball rolling, we start the discussion, or at least progress this by putting in a recommendation that basically puts this in play where nothing would get built unless the community is in agreement. There would be a recommendation for a no build covenant on a large portion of the property, and the details would have to be ironed out later. This just starts or helps to move things along so that there is some momentum for resolution. Right now, nothing's happening.
Is the entire 16 acres looking to be rezoned?
They're not necessarily looking to do anything specific at this point. From what I understand, both the and the community would like this to move towards some sort of a resolution, so that by making a recommendation of DR 16, you could have the whole thing, the whole prop zone DR 16, but then have a significant majority of it, so that, well, I guess that's what I'm getting at. Details can be out later.
How do you, and if the covenant isn't agreed to, you know, what is the zoning?
Then the council wouldn't rezone. Again, we're making a recommendation, and between now and September, when council, that they'd have to try to work this out. So all we're doing is moving the ball forward to try to facilitate a resolution.
Yeah, and I think we could just go DR 16 on the part that they wanted A on the you know, I don't know that we need to do the whole parcel DR 16. You know, I think the 12.438 would be.
That makes sense.
Do you think your recommendation is to be the 12.43, go to a DR 16 with a covenant?
Yeah, no, because the whole property, so that in exchange, the community is getting a benefit by having assurances that that there is a no covenant on the record. See what I'm saying? Like there's a give and take.
So I hear what you guys are saying, right? And we can make the recommendation. Part of our role is to make our recommendations as to the zoning for a parcel, knowing that covenants are not something through the zoning process that would be enforceable, right? It's strictly a suggestion.
Right. Well, that's really what we're doing.
Yep. So I am, well, let's hear the motion.
So, all right, I will move that we rezone the 12, I guess it's 12.43. Let me take that back. 18.82 acres to DR16 with a recommendation that a covenant be worked out with the community.
Can Mr. Hurt, I don't.
I'm trying to make sure I get this motion right.
Right. I just would like to say that I think I would stick to the 12.43. I wouldn't go to the 16.
Hold on. So DR16 with a recommendation that the property owners enter into a covenant with the community.
Yes, and I maybe my acreages were off a little bit. I'm looking at this now. It looks like
According to the log, it's 18.82 acres.
But John, I think they were.
Hold on, Nancy, hold on. We got a motion. I'm just trying to follow process. We got a motion.
Let me just clarify it. So my motion is to rezone the 18.82 acres to DR16 with a recommendation of a covenant.
The property owners. Okay, so
Mutually
that
agreeable, acceptable covenant.
is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
And that is
Steve Final.
okay. Now, if there is discussion, go right ahead. Nancy, did you have?
Yeah, what about doing the 12.43 as the DR16?
I would be fine with that. I would amend my motion to 12.43 to DR16.
Yes, I think they were only grabbing that extra acreage so they could get over to a business district. So I don't think they need that, and it frankly cuts through the middle of the golf course, so that wouldn't work anyway. So.
Just to throw in, I'm permitted to interrupt at this point.
Yes.
The BMCCC was requested in order to be able to get the RAE1 in that location.
You're saying the BLCCC was requested to get the RA1?
And that's why there's the strip to Reisterstown Road. Bill, do you know where this 12 acres is? Is it everything but the clubhouse and the pool and all? Do we have any idea?
Correct. It's the corner, the area closest to Park Heights and Slade, where the driving range area is.
Okay, if you look where there, it looks like the address 78 something in white.
Correct, and everything kind of southeast of there.
So if we sort of drew a line across where the 7800 is, that's approximately where the 12 acres is.
And then up through where the driving range begins. I don't know if we can pull up a requested map or not, but
I don't think it goes to the driving range, does it? I think it goes to the practice green.
for practice range, yeah. And
There's a 17th hole, we call it. It's the old 17th hole. It's not
Yeah, but if you drew a line across along the 7800, it's somewhere in that range, the 12 acres.
correct.
I'm not worried about how much, but I think that again, giving the density of 16.5, on the entire piece is just too much because you're giving it on a clubhouse that maybe it'll remain and maybe not remain. So I might support it, if it's the 12 acres, but I'm not going to support it with 16, or 18 acres.
I'm in agreement with you.
All right. So I heard Mr. Herbst
So
accept.
I'll amend my motion to the 12.43 acres of DR 16.
12.43 acres, which is currently identified as RAE1.
There was a second, so whomever seconded it would have to agree.
Mr. Heinel, do you
Yeah,
accept?
I'll second the amendment to 12.43.
All right. You've heard the motion. It's been seconded. We'll take this to a roll call vote. Unless there's any other in readiness. Any other? Not hearing any other in readiness. Mr. Schweitzer.
I vote yes.
Pinero.
Yes.
Mr. Hartman.
Yes.
Mr. Halupka. Ms. Pafford.
Yes.
Ms. Berzins.
Yes.
Ms. Wolfson.
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Nay.
Mr. Heinel.
Yes.
Mr. Herbst.
Yes.
Perlow.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Motion passes. Recommendation DR 16 for the portion of the parcel requested as RAE 1, with a recommendation that property owners enter into an acceptable covenant with the community, and the remaining parcel will remain the same. It's 2006. We'll go to 2009. Ms. Katie Pinero. And that also had Mr. Howard Perlow and Mr. Heckman. 09.
Everyone, I'll try to keep this short. So you'll see that this is just it's a 37,000 square foot commercial building. It's got a single tenant. The owner is asking for a rezoning of the property which is currently BM to BR. This would add some options for the future use of the property. They're wanting to put a used car dealership, which is compatible with the surrounding area. There is an Audi dealership to the north, and excuse me, I might have misspoken. It might not be used. It might just be an automobile dealership. But there is an Audi dealership to the north, and on the opposite side of Reisterstown Road, there's a Mercedes dealership. Also, there are zero, from what I can see on the public comments, there are zero comments negatively for this property, for this rezoning.
Okay. Any comments from Mr. Perlow or Mr. Heckman?
I would suggest that the present tenants, I think there's been 3 in this building in the last few years. The Sam's Club has closed up behind it. So retail and what it was a thrift store, and now it's a furniture store and something else. They have no access to the light that Walmart had. They can't access that, so the only access is one way really on Reisterstown Road to go south. The entire area to the northwest is the Home Depot, and if you look at anything else going south, it's pretty much car dealerships: Honda, BMW, Mercedes, Toyota, Audi. It's sort of the auto strip of Reisterstown Road. There is the Garrison Forest School up to the north where it says DR 3.5, but they are surrounded by all of these dealerships that are there. This is across the street. It would just give them some flexibility to possibly bring in something else. If the space goes empty, and again, the Sam's Club has been empty for seems like 2 years right now.
Okay. And Mr. Heckman? Okay, no comment from Mr. Heckman on 2009? Staff?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I was on mute. I believe my colleagues have done a great job explaining. And the only question I had is staff recommended that we wait, that the site warrants further study for the 2030 master plan. I was just curious where that comment was coming from.
This being in the Owings Mills growth area, we determined and decided that anything with substantial rezoning in those areas would require further.
I think we missed the last comment, Mr. Sibisky.
With it being in the Owings Mills growth area, we determined that anything with substantial rezoning in that area would require some type of further study.
So in that case, I would agree that we should approve the requested zoning just to provide that property some flexibility because it's terribly underutilized right now.
Okay, we've heard from those that sequestered. We've also heard from staff. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And that motion is to Ms.
To adopt the rezoning from BM to BR for issue 2-009.
I would second.
There's Ms. Pinero and Mr. Heckman. All right, is there any unreadiness? 2009, no unreadiness. All in favor with the motion to change the zoning to BR, please say aye.
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 Any opposed have the same right?
And I will recuse myself. It's Mr. Perlow.
All right. The board is recommending BR for 2009. That motion passes. 2011, Mr. Perlow.
On my page, excuse me. Okay, I'm ready to support the staff recommendation at this point.
I second that.
All right, Mr. Perlow, are you moving?
Yes.
Your motion is?
Support the staff recommendation of BL 1.31 and DR 3.5.
And Mr. Warren, is that a second?
That's a second, yep.
Any unreadiness? Not hearing any. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed have the same right? Abstentions, recusals? All right. Motion to accept the staff's recommendation for log issue 2011. That motion passes. Item 2012, Mr. Perlow.
Remember the petitioner coming in, looking to do, residential on this piece. I think that the area could be served by it, rather than keeping it, 3.5. That's actually more density, I believe. I'm not sure why staff suggested keeping it to 3.5.
Staff?
Yeah, for this one, this area is some of the parcels involved in this issue are built out, some are not. However, one of the main reasons is there is a pending development plan there off of Ridley Ave. It was denied and it's been in appeal process. I'm not really sure where it is at this point. Given that that plan was kind of in play and pending, we decided to retain the existing as well as any potential future issues that could come up with properties that are already built out, bringing that down to DR2 if there were any type of issues with a lot of variances being required and so forth. So recommend to retain the DR2.
And I think this was not the landowner that asked for this. This was a neighbor that asked for the downzoning, right?
That's correct, right?
It was a community member, yes, sir.
So the community member asked to downzone their neighbor's property?
That's my understanding, yes. We were given a set of tax IDs, I believe, to be able to map this issue boundary.
Okay, Mr. Perlow, this was yours. Is there a motion?
Okay, I would make a motion then to accept the staff recommendations.
And is there a second?
Second.
I think that was Mr. Heckman that got there first. It's been practically moved and seconded by Mr. Perlow, seconded by Mr. Heckman. Any unreadiness? Not hearing any. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Have the same right. Not hearing any. Motion passes 2012 to accept the staff's recommendation. 2014, Mr. Perlow.
I would move to accept the staff recommendation.
I second that.
Perlow and Warren. Getting late. Mr. Perlow was just, moving along, Mr. Perlow. All right.
Trying to.
We appreciate you. There's a motion to accept the staff's recommendation for 2014 by Mr. Perlow with a second from Mr. Warren. Is there any unreadiness? Hearing any, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed have the same right.
I'm going to recuse myself on this issue.
I do as well.
Mr. Herbst and Mr.
Heckman.
And Mr. Perlow will recuse himself.
Okay, Mr. Perlow, Mr. Heckman. Let me get my notes right here, guys. Okay, thank you very much. 2014, accept staff recommendation. That motion carries. 2015, Mr. Heckman.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I wanted the opportunity to ask staff, and I could not find this online. Is there community opposition to this particular request?
There hasn't been any strong vocal opposition. I've received some calls with perhaps some questions and mild concerns. But as far as written or testified opposition, no.
Because I understood maybe the Kearney community.
Colonial Village had some questions and perhaps some concerns. It is in close proximity to their neighborhood.
So my question is, why is staff recommending against the rezoning?
Given that property and how it's situated, it's kind of below Milford Mill Road. They were requesting the MR in order to be able to go a little higher on the building for that parcel. There's some stipulation in the zoning regulations that with the type of high-tech calculation, they could possibly go higher. With the ML, they would be subject to more of a 40-foot maximum due to its proximity to residential zone.
Is this the potentially a proposed storage facility?
That's my understanding.
That's my understanding as well.
And I don't know why it seems to me I remember. So Scott's Level, did they have an issue?
I'm sorry, say again?
Was it the Scots, was there the community that is, I guess that would be
This will be Colonial Village.
Colonial Village, yeah.
the village, right, where it says DR 16, in that area that's,
It's actually further down. Colonial Village is where you see DR 5.5 down in the corner. You take that road down to get to Colonial Village.
okay.
It's residential across from them and behind them. Want to do storage there? Is that right?
It's industrial around it. You got like Superior Tours and heavy duty type equipment stuff back in that area, but you go past it to get to the neighborhood. It's kind of awkward, but it already exists.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion number?
Yes. There, it is adjacent to other industrial uses. So I would move that we approve the requested zoning from ML to MR.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion to move the zoning to MR made by Mr. Heckman and by Mr. Warren. Is there any unreadiness? This is 2015. Readiness, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any abstentions? All right, motion carries. 016, Mr. Warren.
Yeah, this is another gas station. Actually, this is not a gas station one. This actually have something on this. There was a change made to this. Let me pull it up real quick. Sorry, I'm trying to go through multiple devices here. Can planning help me with this? There was a request. There was some to this property. You could start while I try to pull up your email.
Sure. For this one, this was a request by Colonial Village Neighborhood Improvement Association, rezoned from the BL and BLAS to DR 5.5. Staff did recommend to retain the BLAS on the parcel adjacent to 102, which is Mariluna Restaurant. However, subsequent to us providing our recommendation, there was contact by the owner of Fran Monument, who also has an issue where 2-001 is located just to the south. And it was shown and proven that that small parcel is actually owned by Fram. It was subject to a land swap many years ago when 7 Mile Lane was aligned with Colonial Road. So the other night when we spoke, also wanted to inquire about releasing that small parcel out of the DR55 issue.
Yeah, I'm trying to find your actual email that had the recommendation I'm trying to make here. So, can you send it to me again really quick so I can?
Sure.
So Bill, help me to understand this one because
Yeah, it's a little complicated. So ultimately, the DR55 would be applied to the two parcels where the 100 is labeled. Everything else would retain existing zoning.
So right now we've got BLAS, BL, and DR 5.5 in that general area.
Yes.
Perhaps you can highlight what you would be changing to DR 5.5. It's not making sense to me.
The two parcels labeled 100, which are county-owned parcels.
Basically, as I understand it, everything to the north of the road would be downzoned to DR 5.5. And the reason for that is the road originally went straight out to Reisterstown Road, and the county asked them to give up some land to realign it with 7 Mile Lane. And you can see yeah. And so the community, which owns the land, is just asking to downzone it so that it can't be, they want it as green space. In fact, I understand from the letters of support that the community submitted, they thought they were submitting it as DR 5.5 NC. So I don't know what happened, but their intent is to keep it as community green space.
And
As I understand it, though, the county doesn't own it. It was given to somebody else, and I apologize, I can't find the email. I also want to try to protect the business owner there. Mary Luna's a great community guy. He's been there. He's been in the community. That was a Carvel ice cream that he's improved. Everyone loves that place. So I want to make sure that he's protected. So in the amendment I'm going to try to make once I get it, it protects him. It also protects the owner of the monument facility that actually owned the land. Bill, am I saying that right?
yes, and as Jen highlighted in blue, those are the two parcels that could potentially go to the DR 5.5, and the parcel adjacent to Mariluna, and then a small one to in the corner would retain existing. Yep, there you go, Jen. Yep.
Okay.
So I would like to make that as a motion, but I don't have it in front of me. So Bill, if you could tell me how to make that, what exactly the motion should be, I can make that motion.
I would say something to the effect of it's going with the staff recommendations, but also with the inclusion of that very small parcel there would also retain the existing BL.
I make that motion that he just said.
BL or BLAS?
That area should be BL.
The part that's affected with Fram Monument is BL.
Yeah. All right. I want to be clear on this motion, and this is not a clear motion at the moment. For log issue 2016, we are accepting staff's recommendation of BLAS on 0.28 acres and DR 5.5 on 0.46 acres, and a parcel to BL.
Correct. To retain existing BL.
Mr. Chairman, if I could clear something up,
Yes.
the recommendation would be to change 0.2 or to remain the BL, the 0.23 BL, but to change the BLAS to 0.28 and the DR5 to whatever is 46 minus 0.23. Sorry, let me do math real fast. That would be whatever.
So let's
1.7.
So BL.23, BLAS point, what's that?
28,
28, and then change the other to BL. No, sorry,
DR 55.
DR 55.
55, 17.
Correct. No, 0.23. I can't do math.
0.23. BL.23, BLAS 0.28, and DR 5.5.
0.23.
All right, so not to complicate this, I might not be following Robert's rules completely, but Mr. Warren, your motion, as I understand it, is to accept staff's recommendation, but with this understanding that the lot would be zoned BL 0.23 acres BL, 0.28 acres BLAS, and 0.23 acres DR 5.5.
I concur. That's the recommendation.
That is your motion.
Motion.
All right, and who is seconding that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. You've heard the motion. Any unreadiness? Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
Sorry, I have a question.
Okay, before, and you're supposed to get that before I go to a vote, Howard, go ahead.
I apologize, I was muted.
Okay.
Bill, who owns the BLAS present piece? Does Mariluna own it?
Yeah, they own that.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that they have the access that they need out to Colonial, so I just wanted to make sure that they own that piece.
Okay.
I'm all right then.
They couldn't operate under what that was requested, so we need to make that change for that purpose.
Okay. All right, once again, motion on the floor. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Not hearing any, motion carried. 2016. Motion carried. Okay. Somebody's moving around over there. 2018. Mr. Perlo.
There was some original discussion about asking for BMAS, but I believe that they are happy just with BM. They're now talking not to a gas station, but to a bank. The property is located on the one corner at Hooks Lane and Woodhome Avenue in Reisterstown that is not commercial. The country club has asked for it to be, rezoned so that they can sell it and, get some revenue to continue the operation of the club.
Howard, it used to be I think what they can do a bank with L. That's my understanding. Is there the club okay L zoning? Can you confirm that a bank or a financial institution will be permitted and be?
I was under the impression they wanted, BM, but if BL allows it, then I'm okay with that, I guess.
Under BL zoning regs, permitted uses, bank, building, and loan association is permitted.
And also under BM, would it give them any more flexibility with BM or not?
Well, they would be allowed more uses in the BM being business major versus business local.
Again, I'd probably ask for the BM then, and, in case the bank doesn't happen, but they're not looking for the automotive service. So I'm okay with that.
Both seem consistent with the area.
I mean, both sides of Reisterstown Road are pretty much all commercial there. We approved that 1823, which is a psychic, I think the last zoning cycle. Still not sure why we did that, but we did. You've got the nursing home, Radcliffe, you've got Barnes and Nobles and the shopping center. I think that this corner, merits having a smaller piece of property that is, for a bank if that's where it ends up. But again, it won't be automotive. It could be another Freddie Brown kind of jewelry or something like that. But so I'd rather give them the DM, I think.
Is that why staff recommended against it because it was AS?
Some of the main reasons are that it's a T3 suburban area. And again, going back to the Owings Mills growth area, further study concept. Perhaps AS came into play, but our main reasons were T3 suburban, Owings Mills growth area. There was some opposition there.
Well, I was going to say the opposition on this gas station, right?
There was opposition, yes.
All right. Chair will entertain a motion.
A motion that the 5.38 be zone BM.
I'll second that.
Perlow and Mr. Warren. Any further on readiness? All right, we'll take this to a roll call vote. Mr. Schweitzer.
I vote yay.
Mr. Nero.
I vote yay.
Mr. Hartman.
Yay.
Mr. Halupka.
Yes.
Ms. Hafford.
Yay.
Ms. Berzins. Ms. Wolfson. Mr. McGinnis.
Yay.
Mr. Heckman.
I'm gonna say nay.
Mr. Heinel.
Yay.
Mr. Herbst.
Yes.
Perlow.
I'll recluse myself as a member of the club from the vote.
Okay, Mr. Warren.
Yay.
Okay. Berzins. Ms. Wolfson.
Nay.
All right, motion carries. Recommended zoning BM 018. Next item is 2019.
Sorry, I had to jump away for a second. What number are we on?
2019, Mr. Perlow. Keller Road LLC.
I will make a motion to accept the staff's recommendation of BL.
That's 2019.
Second.
Mr. Perlow and Mr. Heckman. You've heard the motion. Any unreadiness? Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same right. Motion carries. 2019 to accept staff recommendation.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I will recuse myself from the vote.
2019?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Let me go back. Okay. 2021, Mr. Perlow.
I will make a motion to accept the staff recommendation.
Second.
And that second came from Mr. Heinel?
Did not.
That's
Warren.
from who now? I'm sorry. Okay. All right, sorry. It's 2019. You've heard the motion. Any unreadiness? No unreadiness. All in favor say aye.
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 And I will recuse myself from the vote.
Okay, Mr. Perla, what I'm gonna ask you to do, we've got a couple that went through. If you are going to recuse yourself, we will have someone else make the motion,
That's fine.
okay?
Go and do that real quick. I'll make all those motions.
Yes. Let's go back to 2018. Mr. Perlo recused himself on 2018, but he made the motion. Mr. Warren,
Read it in and I'll say yes that I make that motion.
the motion on 2018 is to change the zoning to BM. Mr. Warren? And is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Hackman. Record reflect, we're going back through 2018. The vote for 2018, if by any chance you decide to change your vote, please let me know. But I'm going to record the vote 2018. Is Mr. Schweitzer? Yes. Ms. Panera, yes. Mr. Hartman, yes. Mr. Halupka, yes. Ms. Heffler, yes. Mr. McGinnis, yes. Mr. Heinel, yes. Mr. Herbst, yes. Mr. Warren, yes. Nay for Ms. Wolfson and nay for Mr. Heckman. Are there any changes to those votes?
And I recuse my vote.
And you recuse yourself, Mr. Perlo. Let's go to 2019. Motion was to accept staff's recommendation. We're going to strike Mr. Perlo as the person making that motion.
And I'll make the motion.
Mr. Worms is making the motion. Mr. Heckman, are you still seconding that motion?
Sure. Yes.
All right, Mr. Heckman seconds that motion. This was a unanimous vote. At this point, does anyone want to change their vote?
Mr. Perlo recuses himself.
Mr. Perlo recuses himself. That motion carries 2019. And then excuse me, that was 20. Where am I?
19.
2019. All right, so we are fine there. Let's move on now to 2021. Mr. Perlo.
You don't want me to make the recommendation, so I'll let Mr. Warren make it that we accept the staff recommendation.
I want to accept the staff recommendation.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Warren. Is there a second?
Second.
That's Mr. Heckman. Any unreadiness? Not hearing any? All in favor say aye.
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 Mr. Perlo will recuse himself.
Will recuse. Okay,
What number are we on now? I've lost myself.
that was 2021. Now we're moving on to 2025. That is Mr.
Do you want me to make the motion, Howard?
No, I wanted to actually hear from staff on this.
Okay.
Yes, for this issue, well, this was rezoned in 2016 to the BMCCC. Been a long process. Ultimately, I guess the proposed plan's been denied. So just it being rezoned in 2016 was one reasoning, as well as being in a T5 urban center area. We went ahead and decided to retain the existing. We have BRAS on either side, so.
And what was the CB? I'm sorry. They requested.
CB is what's requested. Community business is what's requested.
What about a BMCCC?
That's what
That's what it is.
That's what it is. I'm questioning why, the CB that they requested a commercial business along Falls Road there would not be accepted.
Who requested it?
The applicant was Deirdre Smith.
This was the Blue Stem project next to Lake Roland Park, which is what's up at the north of the project. It was denied by the administrative law judge because of declared deficient sewer. So some community members want to downzone the property to make the proposed project go away, I suppose, or be downscaled. However, the Ruxton Riderwood Community Association is in favor of the project and would like to keep the zoning the same.
Yeah, this was a hotly fought out thing, and I don't know why we would change it at this point. And CB, I don't think fits there anyway. So I think the BMCCC is the zoning.
That's what it should be.
Yeah, it was just rezoned in 2016 and approved by the council, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, and I don't think it's fair to downzone a property when it's, in a judicial process. It's not fair to the owner.
Agreed. So can I move to make a recommendation? We go with the staff's recommendation?
So moved, and is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed have the same right? Any abstentions or recusals? All right, motion passes for 2025 to accept the staff's recommendation. 2026, Mr. Herbst.
I'll draw this sequester because I had initially, this is part of Suburban Club. I put this in at the same time as the 2006, just because it was related. But it sounded like we had a consensus on the other issues, so it wouldn't make sense to now support this request.
So is that an acceptance of staff's recommendation?
Yeah.
Okay, would you like to make that motion?
Sure, I move that we accept the staff recommendation on 2026.
Second.
Ms. Hafford. Any unreadiness? Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed have the same right. Motion carries. 4027. Mr. Warren. Mr. Warren, 4027 was yours.
Took the meter off. I was talking without it. I apologize. This was another issue that I'll let staff probably do a better job of explaining, but the client's already doing business in this area, as I understand it, and it's non-conforming. I think that's the one that we were talking about. Bill, can you give more background on this one?
Well, no, this is a request just on where you see the blue outline. It's vacant wooded parcels. It is adjacent to a county-owned bus depot, but that is not subject or to this issue or the same owner. This request is from DR35 to ML. The only proposed plan I've heard of is some type of vehicle or equipment storage. We have received some opposition from the adjacent CSX rail line, as also the Glendon Historic District that is adjacent to the to this issue. It is T3 suburban, and again, really no plan proposed at this point. No concrete plan, just some ideas that are possible future plans.
I guess I misunderstood. I thought the bus thing was part of, so the bus is adjacent to this?
Correct.
And the post office adjacent to this also?
On the other side of the railroad, that's the Glendon district.
I'll pull mine back and I'll make a motion to accept planning recommendation.
Second,
And that's Ms. Hafford. Okay, any unreadiness? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed have the same right. Not hearing any. This motion passes 4027 to accept the staff recommendation. All right.
Mr. Chairman, this is Jeff. You voted on the country club as a whole to retain the existing zoning. On the previous issue, you modified the zoning, so those two aren't
Compatible.
contradictory each other. So if you could modify 26 to incorporate the changes you made on 2006.
Can you help with that?
Let's go back to, thank you for bringing that to our attention. Let's go back to 2026. If you could pull that up.
The issue or the vote?
No, I've got the vote. It was 2026 and the other item was
26.
No. The other issue on suburban, what number was that?
006.
006 and 026. Okay. So we've made the modification on 006. I'm trying to see what the overlap is between 006 and 026.
Got it. I think all we're gonna do is take the 12.43 6 as we were leaving everything else the same. So we would do staff's recommendation minus the 12.42 that we upzoned to DR 16.
I think that's right. I was the one that made the motion, so I don't know what I have to do to modify it, but that makes sense.
Hold on, make sure I'm clear.
So subject to the covenant also.
So staff, help me out on 026.
Jen, can you also highlight 26?
So if I can step in, 2006 and 2026 are the entire property owned by Suburban. Suburban submitted 2006 to do a portion of the property. The neighbors subsequently provided another issue to do the entire property. So 2006 is a subset of 2026. I was thinking the same thing that Jeff was saying, that there's that point of order. But because they're two separate issues, one is vote. I'm not sure how, that I think you're clarifying that you're accepting 2006 and you're accepting 20026 minus the recommendation on 2006.
That would be the clarification on the motion. Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Herbst, if we could go back to 2026.
So I guess should I say I move to accept the staff recommendation subject to our changes with respect to 2006?
That sounds good.
All right. So you've heard the motion on 2026. We're revisiting the motion for 2006 as a point of order for clarification. You've heard the motion from Mr. Herbst. Ms. Hafford, you had seconded that motion. previously. Do you second the revised motion? Ms. Hafford?
I'm sorry, say it again. I apologize.
Okay. You had seconded you were the second on the motion for 2026 to accept staff's recommendation. That motion has been revised by Mr. Herbst to accept staff's recommendation with the exclusion of the recommendations coming out of 2006.
I second his motion.
Okay, any unreadiness? Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
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 Very good. All right. All right, so now we are on, we just did 2027. We are on 2028. And folks, this is the last sequestered item.
Sorry, I can't hold back my excitement. It's 9:15.
Oh gosh, okay. So item number 2028, Mr. Perlow and Mr. Warren.
Okay, I'd like to understand from staff, the subdivision of new homes has been very successful. I guess I'm questioning why we're, trying to change the zoning on the rest of it, because I believe there's about 12 or 13 lots that have not been developed and built on yet.
This has been an issue in prior CZMPs, 2016, 2012, and possibly 2008. But it's been requested several times in the past. This is a request by the councilman. Essentially to lock in that DR1 density. All of the homes in that subdivision were built to DR1 density. The community has wanted to retain that DR1 density for several years now, with concerns with traffic and safety along Old Court Road. So they'd like anything that has not been developed at this point will stay DR1 as it has been built to date.
Okay, so the lots that have not been built on yet, do they continue to have their approval for houses to be built? Or somehow would they be downzoned and not allowed?
Whatever's been approved at this point, I'm certain that's how it would move forward. Jeff, if I'm correct, please correct me if I'm wrong, but what's approved is approved.
There is a record plat that's been approved for all 42 lots or so. I just want to make sure that somehow they're not, downzoning them, because it has been a very desirable community,
Been approved is good to go. It's just anything else, specifically the parcel to the northeast. If that were ever to sell or redevelop, they'd like to retain the DR1 as well.
So I'm sorry, but you keep saying DR1, but it looks to me like it's DR2 right now.
Well, it is DR2, but the plan that was submitted, they built out the number of dwellings to DR1 density levels.
So if I could add, that is the recorded plat that you're probably looking at. And once the plat is recorded, it's vested.
That's what I wanted to hear.
All right. So with that being said, Mr. Perlow, are we accepting the staff's recommendation?
I would make a motion to accept the staff recommendation.
Second,
Yeah.
That was, who was the second?
Wolfson.
Wilson. Ms. Wilson, you got your down zoning.
I'm a team member.
Go, girl.
All right, you are.
Just as a point of order, I had pulled that issue also.
All right. All right. You've heard there was a Mr. Perlow has moved to accept the staff's recommendation. Ms. Wolfson has seconded the motion. Is there any unreadiness? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Amen.
Have the same. That's right. Oh, amen is appropriate. All right. So we have come to the conclusion of our deliberations and work session for districts 1. Thank you all for hanging in here with us. We are doing our citizen service duty. And we'll be back at this again tomorrow. Now,
You need to put that kid to bed.
I would ask so we can start on time. I'm going to have Mr. Mayhew open the session 30 minutes in advance. We want everybody on mute. I would like for everybody to try to get in at least 15 minutes in advance. I'm going to ask Mr. Mayhew and Mr. Gutwall to do the best they can to get a calendar invite with Zoom, with the WebEx information in the calendar invite, so you can click on that and enter into the work session tomorrow. Are there any questions of board members as we wrap up tonight?
I want to know where Jeff went to.
Still here.
I don't see a picture.
What time is this start tomorrow?
Question is when?
5:30.
5:30.
Scheduled to start at 5:30 again tomorrow. I thought Jeff might have gone and put his pajamas on. Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
You did a great job tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Scott.
All right.
And planning department, thank you as well.
Thank you all. And we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Night.
Bye.